right?
Yeah.
I'll support that.
Okay. We're just looking at the minutes, Amber.
All right.
Questions or comments on the minutes, but we'll give Amber just a second to settle in.
I don't think I did. I did read through them. I don't have any.
Gentlemen, anything? All in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That takes us to financial reports. Mr. Treasurer.
Got them, have not had time to look at them. I'll
Come in.
defer to Al.
Mr. Manager.
Oh, you have it in front of you. Take a peek and let me know if you have any questions. I'll see if I've got anything I need to highlight for you. Under township board, I'm looking at the short 5-page report here. Under township boards, we have the annual dues for Michigan Township Associations, 7537.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about
That's
that.
based, it's population based.
Which one was that, Al?
Township board, very first line item, 7537.54.
Okay.
That's our annual dues with Michigan Township Association. I'm quite sure it's population based is how they do it. Well, they may have factored in there for a tax base. I'm not, positive.
But that number is consistent with
Yeah.
year over year.
Right. It's, it goes up every year, but so do our population.
And then there's a monthly as well, right?
No,
There's no monthly, just one
Once a year.
time fee.
Once a year.
Okay.
once a year.
All right.
Yeah, the only extras would be, seminars that we want to go to where we pay for the event.
Yeah, but no, that's, so it's an annual dues.
I had a question on the federal withholding.
Mhm.
I highlighted, it said check number 9692. There were two. On the very top line.
Federal tolling, the 7466 and the 3,989.
No, and then the 7494. They had the same check number and
Oh yeah. Curious. Okay, it's not really a check number
okay.
because that, he threw me for a loop there for a second. It's a electronic
debit?
funds transfer.
Okay.
And so sometimes when we do a monthly and a bi-weekly payroll on the same day,
Okay.
we do it in one, we break out the amounts is how we record it. That's why you see the two different amounts there, but it's all part of one electronic funds transfer.
Okay.
We don't pay that by check.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew we
Yeah,
didn't, but I
right,
was
yeah.
confused by the identical.
Right, because it was part of one transfer
Okay.
to the
That
federal
isn't-
government.
Okay, so there's an EFT. Okay, all right.
EFT, yep.
On the same set of numbers of the first, 1 through
Mhm.
5, I'm looking at page 3. Going down to the capital outlay. I see we've got a credit card there for a couple of credit card balances, 225109 and 5870 71.
Page 3.
Page 3,
Okay,
In
under
the
what
park-
account number?
General Parks Commission.
Parks Commission, okay,
So West Michigan Community and then Elon
Yeah, I see,
Financial.
yeah, right.
okay, West Michigan, okay, West Michigan, the loan payment 2251, that's the Walters House mortgage.
2250, wow.
Yeah, okay, and it's 15-year mortgage on it. And the Lawn Financial Services, that's the credit card charges. So there was 5870 in charges directly related to the Parks Commission on that card. Things the Parks Commission needed that we bought, that we used the card, and those are typically things when we order things online. You don't mail a check in, you've got to have a card to pay for it. I don't frankly remember the detail on that. We can look it up for you though.
Pulse Signs Inc.
Pulse Signs is the company doing the signs for the Parks Commission. That's our new sign they've been working on for a year, 2 years now, probably. A whole collection of different signs that are going into each of the parks. Each park is gonna have two different signs. One more a stand-up sign, one of a more of a lay down with a whole descriptive, you're on the park Zooms, you know, you've seen them talk about that. We talked about it last month too, you
So
know.
that's the ones they're talking.
That's what I'm talking about. Those signs, those colorful signs that we're getting. That's Pulse. That's the company that's doing that.
Is
for
that
us.
the gold leaf signs that you're talking about?
No, the gold leaf signs are different signs. Those are cross signs. Those are our monument signs at the front of each park. Like we have at the township hall here.
Okay.
So Pulse is the descriptive, colorful narrative signs, I'll call them,
Okay.
that are actually inside each park that are coming. The Kraus ones with the gold leaf and such are the monument signs that say, this is Sanctuary Woods Park when you drive down the road, or the township hall. Yep. Putting a lot of good signage in the parks.
When do we expect it to be installed?
Pulse signs, hoping for this fall. The first wave, the first half of them is in production right now. We're hoping to get the second half in production within a month. We have the the braces, the stands already in stock here, ordered in supply. And that's better, hopefully getting them out this fall.
Oh, another one there, Evergreen Commons, a sprinkling system?
The Evergreen
$8
sprinkling,
grand?
Evergreen sprinkling. Let me check on that, is 804.
And
Yeah,
that's
that
what Phil
is the,
mentioned?
the sprinkling system over by the chapel. We did not have any irrigation system in there, so we haven't put in an irrigation system around the chapel.
Okay.
First page, same report, the 457 deferred comp, Northwestern Mutual.
Mhm.
Monthly 18 grand.
Mhm.
Is it typically that much?
Yeah. That's some is that ballpark, yeah. That's a combination of township share and employees withholding. So I would say. 50-50-ish as far as the two different. But it's typically around that much.
Next page. High Point Community Bank. I just don't recognize that bank, but are they the holder of the bonds? for?
They're the whole of the bonds on the drain work.
Have they always been or is it a new bank or?
Years ago, it was the Community Bank of Hastings, I think they're called. They got a new name a couple of years ago. High Point. They're out of Berry County, though. They're probably one of the biggest buyer of drain bonds in the state of Michigan. They love drain commissioners. They know all the drain commissioners by heart. They have them on their speed dial. And they give the best rate. Nobody can touch them. They're just really big on loaning money for drain work.
Kind of piggybacking on Jim with the sprinklers for Felt, something like that where it's 8 grand. Do we put that out to bid?
This particular case, no, we did not, because it was not an easy bill. There was a little bit of work getting to the water source because there is no actually water source to the chapel. And I knew it was going to be expensive in design work because we had to run underground piping from, I don't know how I could describe it, on top of the ridge closer to the pump bike track area. In that area, you had to come underground with 2-inch PVC pipe just to get the water source from that location over to the chapel. And then, so it's more than just the sprinkling system and the controls. It's a lot of work getting the water to the place. There was not an easy way of doing it.
That tie into a pump that's existing
Yes.
well, that's.
We have an existing irrigation system, the former prison system we still use for irrigation. So that's on the disc golf property, and that's the water source.
Circling back on that, so the majority of that is getting the water to the source, I mean, from the source to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, and so it's, I was gonna say, a sprinkler system for 8 grand.
But that, they did the work, though. They got the water from this point to that point. And then they built the sprinkling system. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's a lot of money.
it's right now. Might have green grass.
They all under the Grafscott Fire Department, the Ford Explorer. I don't know if that's the chief's or the assistant chief, but Extreme Auto for 37.57.
We had a little owie that needed to be repaired. Oh, fender bender.
Are we self-insured or do we have insurance?
We have insurance. I don't typically turn in minor issues like that on insurance because we'll have a deductible of $1,000 to start off with. And then we'll have this and that. So, you know, I could have turned that in and maybe collected a couple $1,000s out of the insurance company. But you know what that does to your rates when you turn the little ones in. We keep our insurance for our big deals.
Yeah, we had one a couple of years ago when one of the units got totaled.
Yeah, when we total out a vehicle and go, okay, yeah. That's not hard to spend a few $1,000s on body work these days. Of course, not hard to spend a few $1,000s on anything these days.
I'm good. I'll wait.
Well, I mean, if you've got questions, we can do them now and then.
No, it's not questions on this, but it's. Yeah.
And we're talking about both reports, right? Or
Yeah.
all the questions so far have been on the 5-pager.
Right.
Okay.
That's what you guys usually look at. The other one is
Right.
more complete detail because you where we're at in the budget and layout and those kind, you know. But usually focus on the short report. The invoices are listed.
Mr. Now that you've had some time to review the reports, you see anything?
No, not really.
Okay.
When it was sprinkling, $8,000 does seem like a lot, but I had 3 sprinkler heads put in my front yard 20 years ago. Connected to a source that was in the backyard, not far away. And that was $1,500 20 years ago. Just for that coverage, so. If you've had sprinklers put in or even maintenance done, but it's plumbers don't work cheap.
Another thing I could point out to you, that on page 2, under the drains, so you're looking at the High Point Community Bank. And below that, you see the Tulip Intercounty Drain. That was a surprise, send us $10,000. Because we're part of a drainage district, the Tulip Intercounty Drain, even though there is no Tulip in Laketown. The nearest part of it's in Fillmore, but we're part of that drainage district. And the district had an assessment charge against us for work done. They went through the whole process. And I believe that total assessment was around $70,000 or so. And it was divided amongst the municipalities by their percentage of that drainage district. So that was our share. But that's something that was not in the budget. We didn't know that was coming back before April 1 to incorporate that cost. But it's something that you are responsible to pay. This is why every year, if you looked at what most money I put in the budget for drainage work compared to what our debt payments are, there's always $20,000 or $30,000 extra just for this kind of thing, because it happens every year. And it's not a matter of poor planning. It's just a matter of the work needs to be done. It's a drain.
So it was in the budget. It wasn't, it just
It
wasn't.
was
like-
not earmarked.
We didn't have the number.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I always put extra cash into that drainage
Well,
budget.
Right. I just wanted to confirm
Right,
that
right. Yeah, the money was there.
the money that went out the door was within the budget.
Yes, it was. That's
Yeah.
true. I said that incorrectly. It wasn't earmarked for this because we didn't know this was going to happen. But, and I can almost guarantee you, there'll probably be a couple more popping up. Usually not to that extent. Usually there are a couple $1,000s or so. But that's just the nature of drain work.
Under bike pass, just remind me if you would, the contracted services is for that Blue Star mainly, right? There's 300 grand and then we've spent 25. It
Okay,
looks
you
like.
jumped, but reports on me, right?
Yeah, I'm on the 12-pager.
Yeah, okay.
Under bike page 5, top of page 5, I guess. 300 grand. We
300
have-
grand is budgeted in there for construction.
For the Blue Star Trail, right? Mainly,
Mhm.
the 25 we've spent was for tree.
We had to do the tree removal. I'm gonna be talking more about that project later in the.
Okay, I was hoping
Day
you
two.
would.
Yeah.
And I see, just to close the loop on the sprinkler thing, I see that under the Belt Mansion, this 8160 came out of the budget of the capital
Yeah,
outlay
right.
budget.
Yeah, that's part of the capital outlay we put into the mansion every year. For projects.
Jim, other Jim? All right, let's go ahead and put him on the agenda for next week. We're gonna have a full slate of reports. As far as you know,
As
anybody not
far as
meeting?
I know. I think so.
If anything you want to bring to our attention tonight as opposed to next week? That takes us to new items, and what do we got on new, excuse me, on old business for the agenda, Al?
No old business items.
What do we got for new?
I actually have two items for you. The first item of new business will be the Parks Commission appointment.
Okay.
Hope to have a decision for you,
Or recommendation?
a recommendation, a decision from the committee to recommend the appointment of somebody. Hope to have that for you by 6 p.m. next Wednesday. What the committee, can I talk for the members of the committee and explain what the process has been so far? So originally we had 8 applicants, 1 person dropped out, brought us down to 7. And we looked at, okay, does this committee want to interview 7 people for this position? Or do you want to look at and do a first bite through? And so each of the 3 people on that committee, Jim, Gary, and Karen Simmons from Parks, not me, looked at the 7 and they each selected 3 people they thought they'd like to interview. Independently, they did that. And then we tallied up the votes of those who they selected. And then it was pretty obvious who the top 3 for interviews would be. And those 3 have been contacted for interviews and are scheduled for interviews starting at 4 o'clock next week, Wednesday. Got a 4 o'clock, 4:30 and a 5:30. After that, at 5:30 interview is done, they've got a half an hour to make the decision and come to you guys at 6 o'clock. If they're not happy for whatever reason with any of the 3, they could go back and look at the remaining 4 in the pool. But that's kind of where the process is at.
We didn't make a decision next week. We still have some time.
Yeah. I'm trying to get it done though.
No, just that I'm not thinking the governor's gonna drop what she's doing to take over with our parks.
Let's keep a close eye on
Not
it.
likely.
I mean, it'd be great if we get it done within the the recommended time frame, but
Even if they
let's
were,
try to do that, okay? But it's not gonna be the end of the world if it slipped a month.
even if Lansing was watching, we can show that you guys have been meeting and going through stuff, so it's not like we've ignored it for 45 days.
So first item for the agenda is the Parks Commission appointment. The second item I would like to add is the Semco franchise to provide gas service in Laketown. Now, the first document I'm going to give you, I sent to you. This is the franchise as drafted by our township attorney. The second item, I still have.
Okay.
Yeah, the email, okay. He's okay. The second item is the franchise as drafted by Semco. Well, Semco sent us and said, hey, franchise is coming up this year. It's been 30 years now, and we renew our franchise with you. And this is what they wanted us to do. I talked to Ron about it, and he's like, no, well, I've got a franchise they've approved in other communities. Which is better for us. And he drafted that and sent it out to Semco saying, hey. How about this one? You guys know me, we've handled this over and over before in the past. And I came back and said, sure, that'll work. That was the extent of it. Yeah, okay. The main thing, Ron's franchise is twice as long as the simple Semco one. The main thing that I like in Ron's version, that would be section 2D.
3D.
3D, excuse me, thank you. Basically says, if we're township's doing a project and you're in our way, move. At your expense. Get up there, dig out your pipe, relocate your gas main, because we need to put a water main there or a sewer main or whatever else. That's not in that's the biggest one, is that they must relocate if requested by us. Now, the reality is you're gonna approve a franchise for Semco. Not gonna say no. Yes.
Do we have a franchise with them now?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's just in essence a renewal.
This is a renewal, only with a little slightly better terms. Yeah, they've got pipe in the ground. We're gonna say no, they go running back to Public Service Commission and try. And we eventually get overruled,
When does our current franchise expire?
end of the year. And we don't have to do this month. We can wait a month on this if you want. But the recommended franchise in front of you is recommended by your township attorney who drafted it. I don't know if he could go back and try to get something else out of him, but I don't know what that would even be.
This is the initial, the Semco, this smaller one is
The
the
one,
initial.
the single double page
Semco.
is the Semco offered to us.
Okay.
Which is real similar to what we have currently with them. The other one is as amended by our township attorney.
And they've executed the one he recommends with other townships.
Yes,
We don't expect any pushback.
yeah, right. So we could spend money on Ron to go back and argue other clauses if you would like. I don't know what one's gonna, I wouldn't know what else we would ask of Semco. We're not gonna provide free to everybody, including us.
They're exclusive, right? In the
No.
township?
No.
No,
Who else do we have?
nobody.
You have
But they're not
section
exclusive.
6. It's section 6 on Ron's draft.
Yeah.
Confirms
It's
it's not.
not an exclusive. Anybody else can come in and provide
Oh,
the service
yeah.
also.
I guess what I meant is now they are, as
No.
of now.
No.
But there's no one else, maybe
There's nobody else. They do not have. an
I'm
exclusive
asking the
franchise.
question wrong.
Yeah.
Are they the only provider currently in the township
Yes.
for gas? That's what I meant to say.
But
Only
somebody else can
provider.
come in.
Yeah.
They don't have it. This is not an exclusive franchise. The thing is, it's like cable. They're not going to overbuild each other.
And who would likely,
I don't, yeah.
It'd be the Jim Johnson Gas Company.
right, my
Yeah.
gas company might think about it, but is there, like in Saugatuck, Fenville, Holland, City of Holland, are any of them using a different? Someone other than-
DTE is in some areas. Consumers is some areas also. You know, Michigan Gas, that's Semco. So,
No, Michigan Gas.
that's Semco. Yeah.
And you'll hear other names on bills and you see, unfortunately, you hear of people getting scammed by folks showing up on their porch saying, change your your provider, it's
Right.
still going through these pipes.
Yeah. You can get a different, basically a paying agent if you want. You can act as a broker, and sometimes there's advantages to that. Quite often there's a real disadvantage, especially if you ever want to try to cancel them and go back to somebody else. They have a way of just putting their claws in you and not letting go.
I've heard they get you in at a low introductory rate and then
Mhm.
jack you after a while.
But they don't need a franchise to do that because it's these pipes that are where the gas is coming from.
So. You can have it on the agenda, or you can wait a month if you want, or you can wait 2 or 3 months if you want. That's one of the things I'd like to, get it done and move it along, but.
We have to get it, we have to deal with it so that it can be published as an ordinance prior to the end of the year, don't we?
No, we publish after it's approved.
Right, but I mean, don't we have to back up the calendar for the approval so that it can get published before the end of the year, so it's effective by
Oh,
January?
yeah, right, yeah.
So we don't have, in other words, we don't have November and December. Because we gotta pass it and then it gets published and sits out there for 60 days.
I don't think it's at 60
That's what it says in 8,
and the effective date.
section 15.
And however, it shall cease and not be in effect 60 days after its adoption. Unless that's right into, okay. No, it takes effect on publication. That's that same section 15.
Okay, so either way, though, it'd be nice to have that referendum
Yeah.
behind us,
Yeah, so
that, that
If
empty period.
I would like to digest this.
okay.
I thought we had a cat in the room or something.
I mean, since we broadened out, the conditions, the section 3, just to digest this a little bit before making any decision. That's just for me. I don't know about the rest of the board, but
Well, just a question.
Yeah.
Between now and Wednesday, since it's so short, or do you want to wait a month?
wait a month.
What's the pleasure of the board,
I can go either way.
gentlemen?
I guess I was sort of thinking to let it, since we're so early, let it percolate a little bit, but I know we got a light agenda next week, so I could see why we might want to just get it done with, but I guess what I'm saying is I'm fine either way, but
Here,
They said a reason not to get it done. And last time we did it was 1993.
is
Has
it?
not changed. And all of the energy are governed by a state commission,
Public Service Commission.
right, that only allows certain increases, which is, I believe, built into the contract for these.
4 more months won't matter then.
And well, there's really nothing in here that really, I mean, it says rates, but that this agreement doesn't have any impact really on the rates. The rates are going to be the rates.
Rates are set by public. One thing that clause that Ron has in there. It says something to the effect of that, if we're not happy with the rates, we can petition, we have the right to petition Public Service Commission. To review the rates. I think we got that right anyway, but maybe for some reason we don't. So, but Ron put it in there.
My perception is if we like drag our feet purposely, it's not like Semco's going to come back and offer us a lower rate just to get us to induce us to sign. I mean, that's not the way this works.
I mean, I'm perfectly content with the way it's drafted right now. So I don't know that there's a real reason to wait.
My take.
You want to put it on the agenda and Jim, if you have questions between now and then, we can always table it for a month. Put it on the agenda. That's an easy one. If something comes up that you want to, you can always table it. But then we can get it done, and depending on what the agenda looks like in July, a summer meeting, that doesn't necessarily happen, wouldn't break anybody's heart, I don't think. Anything else, Al?
That's it for agenda items. I have two other things to touch on.
All right, what you got?
This one. Project I put myself to do. And it's out. And let me explain.
I've got my copy unless that's different than what you sent.
Should do the same.
Okay.
You have one or two?
Yep. Oh, I made a copy at work, but it's the same thing, right?
Okay. So this is a format I started using a few years back, 2019, as a matter of fact, or 2018. Because the road commission said, can you give us another year's heads up what you might be doing the following year? And because we need to work on our planning and our workload and such. So said, okay, well, I started running three or 4 years ahead for the road commission, giving them an idea. And it was just a plan. So they have an idea what we're looking at for road work. So they got to, or they got to start looking at, okay, where the culverts need to be replaced and how much work we're going to do. And are there any big projects here coming up that we need to really spend more on this simple resurface project, So what I did is I went out on this particular case. I went out till the year 2030 for you. Because I'm not going to be here in 2030. I guarantee you that. But this is a document that is not set in stone. It's a reference to guide you for the next 7 years. Let me explain what you have. So it starts in 2019. And you see there, 2019, you see the projects we did, 2020, the projects, 2021 projects. 2022, that's the projects you did for 2022. I don't have the dollar amounts there because we've not actually finalized those projects yet. So I can't give you dollars spent on those yet. They're they should have been typically be done by now. But because they ran so late and they didn't do the restoration work, or we've got money held back a little bit. So I'll fill that part in later. So those 4 years are history. 19, 20, 21, 22. 2023, that's our project for this year, which you've already authorized. They're not completed yet, but that's the projects that have been authorized to do. Okay.
I think Scenic Shore Drive just got done.
Boy, really? I'd be stunned at that.
I just drove up there last couple of days ago and it's all brand.
Okay.
Paid for that.
Sure, Cedar Shores made out the private road, not Summit View Concourse, the big steep one.
The one that goes to
Goes into Valley
Jeff Elhart, Matt Hayworth's new house.
down the Sailview, that's Sailview.
Thought that's in Scenic Shore. I thought that was the
Main north-south road in Cedar Shores is Sailview.
Which one then is,
Scenic Shores Drive.
yeah,
It's first left. You come in on Sailview, the first left, Scenic Shores Drive, and you make the bend a sharper left, it becomes Valley View. Those are the only public roads. That's weird. I know it's very weird. It is what it is. What happened was some of the other roads were too steep to make back in the 70s for the road commission to have a public road. They refused them. That's why Summit View Concourse, you're doing a hill climb. It's too steep of a climb to be a public road. It's a private road, not our cost. It's on them. But so 2023, you've already authorized that road work is coming soon, or maybe part's been done. Might be surprised about that. What I want to really focus on is the future for the next 6 years. 7 years, excuse me. So 2024. My recommendations of the work we're gonna do, 145th and 60, little bit of 61st Street. 145th is in need. I can almost guarantee you that we should not waver from this for the year 2024. That part 145th needs to be done. And it's kind of interesting. You also look at the when it was last done. We last did it in 2006. So 17 years. Not bad, but most of our roads last more than that. It's really, I think, it's a matter of soils in the area and maybe how the road was originally constructed for its base. But just.
There's
that's
also been a lot of construction of new homes and stuff along there. that-
Yeah.
Trucks and cement
So-
trucks and could be.
Yeah, there's wear and tear in the roads and stuff, so anyway, so that's, what I'm looking at. Also, along with that for 2020, 2024 is the completion of the bike path project on the resurfacing on 147th. We stopped last year at Walters Woods, basically. We didn't go down past Dewey's house in that neighborhood or up on 64th Street or on 147 from 64th to 66th. That half we didn't do. That half was in better condition, so we could hold off a little bit and made it easier to spread the money through budget years. That's a couple $100,000 project we've got left to do on 147th. But I've got that scheduled in for 2024. It'll be probably about due by then.
Can I go back to 145th?
Huh?
We've got it labeled as a resurface.
Mhm.
I remember a few years back, we were having a discussion about resurface and making sure the prep was such that all of the cracks at crossroads don't just telegraph up through the new asphalt.
Gonna grind on it.
Is that within the reference to resurface then? So
That's typically the road commission's prerogative.
I happen to hit 145th quite often and it
Yeah.
is a,
Yeah, you got the cracks.
so I just don't want to spend the money and have all that telegraph right back up through the,
Mhm.
the new asphalt is what I'm saying.
I could ask them when they decide to do a grind. We did 64th Street recently. They did a grind on that.
And they did
I tend to think they probably, generally speaking, for local roads, they probably steer away from a grind because it's just going to escalate our local costs. I mean, there's got to be a dollar figure for that. I don't know what it is. Frankly, other than county primaries, I have never seen a grind done on one of our local roads.
I did the grind in the neighborhood roads last year on Pine,
On the whole road or just the edges. The driveways they do.
did the whole road.
Did they do 142nd a couple of years ago? It was a few years ago, maybe.
Yeah, but was
three.
it a grind? I mean,
But maybe it did, but it angled so bad when you would walk,
Right.
it was
right,
almost
there's
hard.
the old way of making the roads, they had a big crown on it. Right, and they might have ground that top down a little bit, and then they build up the sides. To level that out more, because the old fashioned way of doing roads, they had more of a rounded mound for good drainage. It had great drainage, but you slide off in the winter. Yeah, I'll ask about that. Okay. But so that's 2024, 2025. Also, 138th Avenue. We probably should not waver from getting that done at that time period. That's a road, one's going to go out and drive these and look around the township. I drive them, I look at the roads, I look at the history on it, and I look at the Pacer ratings before I put this together for you. It's good, but that road is going to be needing resurfacing by 2025. It probably could do it today, actually, it'd be kind of nice, but it'll be okay by that time period. Okay. 2026. You notice there's less miles involved in that one. I have first two ones, though, there are some subdivision streets up in the north part of the township. But then I have 61st north of 138th. That is one of our last 3 gravel roads in the township. I wanted to talk about this because that's a big deal. You don't just go out in and put down a layer of asphalt and call it good. Ain't gonna happen. If you're gonna pave it, they're gonna reconstruct it and build it right. So it's a third of a mile of work. Talked to the engineer. I said, I've always used $1 million a mile for reconstruction. He goes, that's probably pretty good. So that project is going to be, 350,000 just for that little piece of road. To open it up, improve the drainage, put down a good base, and pave it. But it's one of our last 3. That's a project that they would certainly want to know about that sooner than later. Because that's going to take, they're going to be doing design on that for a year in their winter months when they have design work on it. And going out doing survey work on that, finding the right of way and looking what they got to work with. That's a lot more work for the road commission than our simple resurfacing.
They back bills for all that engineering.
Oh, yeah, if it's included in the costs. Yeah. Cheapest engineers you're going to find.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
but
So that I wanted to highlight that, and we can talk more about that. Maybe coming up later this fall, when we do our projects for 2024, November-ish. Yeah, but I wanted to highlight that if you're thinking that we may want to do that, I want to give the road commission a heads up that that's what we're looking at. To get that one done. And for 2026. 2027. You'll see we've got some stuff 144th, about a mile of that, and some stuff done by Goshorn. Relatively light year planned. 3 straight miles. 2028. 4 miles of road. So a little more that year than the previous years, but just basically resurfacing. 2029. You've got a lighter year as far as resurfacing, but then you've got another road. The second, if you did the road, if you did 61st in 2026, you'll be down to 2 roads of gravel. 2029, I propose doing another one. And that's 65th Street, south of Island Lake, going into Goshorn Lake. Another one about a third of a mile. Probably going to be $300,000 to $400,000 price tag. Going to need reconstruction in there. I also predict that we're going to need some time to work on that one because the road commission ideally will have to purchase some right of way. Because the way the road is currently located, it is not centered in the right of way. And if we try to center it and correct it, we're going to be pushing up against some houses pretty darn close off to the east side of the road. And I more ideally would be try to keep the road where it's at, which is skewed more to the west, and pick up. You want the road to end up in the middle of the right of way, but right now it's more skewed to the west. And I would like to see us add 10 feet, 15 feet of right of way to the west, so that the road is centered. I'd rather make rather center the right of way over the road rather than center the new road in the existing right of way.
Now, this area, is there either a circle drive or is it all, I was there
At
maybe
the very
last year.
end, it's a cul-de-sac at the end, and
Yeah.
there's a boat launch into Goshorn Lake.
So is that whole cul-de-sac gonna get paved? That whole, okay.
Surfaced and all that thing. Another reason why they get that. So big project. It's going to take some design work. I think it's even going to take more. Yeah. And once again, this is not set in stone. This is just my crazy dreams here, getting some of these things done. Yeah, that would be a good time to do that. I'm confident in the amount of money I'm spending here each year going into 2030. It's easily within your budget. Now, with that, let me just give you one more piece of the puzzle in my thinking. So there you got road work going on. Next manager can come back and say this is crazy and change it all. And you guys agree? Okay. This is what I'm telling you, what I think we should do. We should look at this for the future. If you look at the amount of road work per year and the amount we're doing here compared to what we've done the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's less. It's kind of tapering off on road costs. That's because we have our 2 mills of fire, roads, drains, and bike path money. You're going to need to put more money to the fire department. It's going to happen. They've got 1 mill dedicated of their own right now, and they get about a $250,000 or so out of the 2 mills. They used to get more out of that. They've been less because we've been playing some catch up on our road work from the recession. Because back in those days, we were struggling to get things done. We were only paving a mile and a half a year. We've been catching up. We've caught up pretty well now. But your next big thing is going to be staffing over there. It's going to come. You're going to get more full-time guys. Cannot get people to work paid on call. The training they have to do is a lot just to keep our certifications and such. That is coming. Plus, our roads are actually, I predict by the time we get to next year's roads done, we're not going to have any roads that are in poor condition. You're not going to see any black on that, whatever, I think it's bright red they use on Pacers. We're in a pretty good place, and we can keep up on this as long as we keep up on it through the years. Keep the roads in very nice condition. And be able to put more money towards the fire department. But the days of having a primarily paid on-call fire department are going bye-bye. Their staffing right now is the lowest it's been ever. Probably, I don't know, it's been this low ever in 30 years that I've been here. No. Yeah. Well, since you've been on for 50 years almost. 42. All right. No, and that's where we're at, and we can't get people. And we've adjusted pay scales. We try to figure out everything we can, but the amount of training you have to be a firefighter, be a firefighter 1 or firefighter 2, is just huge. And that's where, you're going to see the future of firefighting is going to be more to full time. Sure, we'll have some guys on there that are paid on call that still like it and love to get out of the house 2 nights a month on a Saturday a month, but we can't depend on that anymore. This is going to be changing. It's going to be changing sooner than you expect. Just telling you what's going on here. The 2 over here on the fire board have heard this for a couple of years now, a few years. We've done our best that we can. What we're doing in the house right now by the number of full-time guys on our days. Our days are covered quite nice during the week because of our staffing that we have. We got to start working on our nighttime staffing. So this is what we're just kind of pulling back some on roads, but still doing good on the roads, thinking that we're going to have more coming in for the fire department. Plus, our tax base is growing nicely. Last year was a big jump. We're not going to do that consistently. It's about 10%. Yeah. But I think over the course of this, you're going to see probably about a 5% annual average of growth in our tax base, which is pretty comfortable. Actually, I think it's gonna be growing faster than our costs to resurface our roads. Now, maybe the actual dollars for a ton of hot mix asphalt might go up faster than that. But for the amount of work we have to do yet, and the amount we have to do each year, we're gonna be in good position. So there's your Sunday afternoon driving. Go look around, wander around. I can send you the most recent Pacer ratings, which is, I think it's 2022.
I've got a 19.
I got one sooner than, I got 21 or 22 is
If you
like,
can forward,
I don't think you did 22 yet. I think it's 21.
even if you can move it, hand us the
Yeah.
21.
But I'll email out the most recent,
Thank you.
yeah. To you, but that is just a long-range plan. Now, we've talked about, Linda and Jim and I talked about, capital improvement plans and those kind of things. So for our small township, it's really hard to do a capital improvement plan because we don't have a lot, to look at as far as major expenses. We do a roof. Well, we did the roof, 5 years ago? So, okay, another 25 years, we're gonna put in the roof on. Same thing for the parking lot here or our signs here. They're not major expenses that you really need to plan for. Roads are a major expense you need to plan for. And so I put together, this is your road capital improvement plan. So it's a plan, always subject to change. Things happen, and I'm warning you that the next other thing for capital improvements is over here. And that's gonna be for staffing. Otherwise, they're doing fine, but there's always new equipment they need to have. NFPA standards change on them. Things have to be shipped out and, but he does his own in-house capital improvement planning as far as equipment wise. Okay, so there you go. This is just a, once again, go for a ride, wander around, look at the roads, do what Dewey does on Sundays.
I already hit some of those, question marks, I already did that.
Now, related with that, give you something else that brightened my day, my week, is the Blue Star Bike Path. So we didn't get to put that puppy out to bid until this month, even though we were ready back in February. We had our work done, but then because of issues at the Lansing level, it happened. First was, I'm not going necessarily going in order here. First was the squabble between MDOT and Eagle over how wide the structures had to be. AASHTO standard is 14 feet, that's what MDOT wants. Eagle Wetlands is saying, no, you don't need to be bigger than 10 feet. Minimize your impact on the wetland. Eventually it got settled at 12. Amazing how that works out. Another thing that came up was SHPO, another one of our great state agencies, required a section 106 review for the Saugatuck Hotel over at 62nd and Blue Star. 106 is a historic review, and we weren't going to adversely impact them. Really, guys? Okay. That caused a delay. Third delay was we're all buttoned up and changed our design and stuff to meet the boardwalk size and ready to go out, and they just didn't include it in the May letting. Don't have an explanation why. They're probably just overloaded like everybody else. So we went out to bid in the June letting. The state's got to do all the bidding on these for us. And we got the bids back. I think it was Friday. I got aware of this. And our bids are 30% over budget and only had two contractors bid. So instead of an overall $1 million project, 960, I think we were planning for, it's $1.2 million. So had a conference call yesterday or day before with our engineer and the road commission. We figured out, and we all agree the delays is what hurt us. Not the project, but just that everybody, and Jim could probably tell you as far as seasoned construction business, everybody is booked. And they're too darn busy. If you want to try to get somebody to get a project in this year, you're gonna pay dearly. Plus, on top of that, we have the closing of the Blue Star Bridge, or X 41. Nobody that I know, including me, knew about that 9 months ago. We've been working on this bike path project for probably 5 years. That was a surprise. We're gonna do some bridge work in Allegan County. The sand pit that they would be pulling from is by Saugatuck, in Laketown Township. You can't get over the bridge to pull the sand because the bridge is closed. So your trucking cost is, quadrupled.
Now, when is that? You heard when they're gonna reopen that bridge?
Yes, I know the date, but I hate to say it. I want to say it's end of August 22nd, I want to say. It's in August.
I had no clue either, and I didn't know if it was gonna be 6 months or 6
Yeah.
weeks or
Yeah.
6 days or.
Pretty sure it's August 22nd.
I think I heard the radio this morning, they were predicting beginning of September.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
fits in
I've
right
got
with.
that. I'll send that to you. But all those things, added to a 30% overrun on bids. So, talking to him, I said, yeah, no way, we can't do that. And I'm not gonna come back and forward and ask for 300,000 more. Yeah. And so with talking with road commission, engineers, myself, MDOT wasn't in on the call, but the engineer went back and talked to MDOT. What we decided is we've declined the bids for this year. Said, no, we're not building it. We're gonna immediately go back and rebid it with all the same thing, except we're changing the completion time until September 1st of 2024. So somebody out there can, and we'll probably have a chance to get it. We don't expect we're gonna get it out actually to let in the fall. Probably October, November, because MDOT is booked up doing projects right now. They're not gonna be dinking with that. But if we get it out this fall, we can likely get multiple contractors bidding on it for a 2024 project and get a reasonable bid price. If we don't, then we're gonna look at things. But anyway, so that project, which is hoped to be under construction by now, is being delayed another year. I've confirmed that the money we've got set aside is not going anywhere. We got 576,000 in grant money to cover it. That's still there. And who knows, maybe a year's delay, we might be able to find some more money that somebody left some crumbs on the table that we can snatch up.
But you're saying they're not gonna claw that back?
No, not clawing that back. Don't have that in writing yet. That's verbal. I told the engineer to get that in writing.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. I mean, I've already said, no, we're not gonna, I wouldn't come back and ask for that. We just decline the bids.
One thing to be 3% over.
Oh, yeah, I can go to 10%.
30%.
Sort of related to that, at least in that same neighborhood. That piece of property and the developer that was hoping to get water and sewer or whatever, wasn't it Dick Darby?
Are you talking about over here at exit 41?
Yeah,
Yeah, Darby, he passed.
yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know if you
Dick
saw
Yeah,
that.
Dick died, yeah. Oh, yeah, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
I happened to see that obituary in the Holland Sentinel and I
Yeah.
thought, wait a minute, that's the guy that was.
Yeah, that's why it's been stalled. We had it all worked out. I met with Dick and his son maybe a year ago now. And we had it looked at it. We figured out how we can do it, how we can get it across the highway without putting a lift station in. And that was Dick's big thing. He didn't want to spend the money for the lift station because that's $500,000. And we thought there was a gravity route that could be done, but it would work for us, would satisfy our needs as far as specs and such. But then Dick, it's funny at the time because Dick was counting manholes that we would have to have, and why do we have to have this manhole? Come on, Dick, lighten up. Talking about, I love Dick. He was a good guy. Good
Can't
person.
remember, does it property on both sides or is
Yes,
he?
he owns both sides of Blue Star. So now what's going to happen with that, we don't know. He's, yeah. So yeah, that's So that's gonna be whenever, you know. Solid water agreement, I think I said that is done deal. Got our signature, our signature pages are going in the mail tomorrow morning. That's done. You won't have to worry about that for 40 years.
It was, will still be here.
Gary will be here.
I'll be retired.
Everybody pick on Dewey tonight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, get Holland Water contract done. That's done. You get a Semco franchise that lasts you 30 years. Sewer contract with Holland is not that old, and I think we got a really nice, we did a lot of work. That one took several years of negotiating but we got a good agreement there. I don't predict any real significant changes in that. See, make a liar out of me now.
Since you're running through all the different utilities, it made me think about, I don't want to extend this meeting just for the sake of extending the meeting, but anything new on the whole cable situation? Broadband and is,
Talking again tomorrow with them.
Great.
I talk with them regularly. I've been escalated up into the slightly higher echelons at Comcast. We've got, but it's a hard nut to crack. And you're dealing with a private company who has their cards right here. And they don't let you peek.
any new properties been added, or is it just the same as it was a year or two ago, as far as?
I can't confirm. But last time I was talking with them, they thought there were several of the addresses I had they could service today. I know they have had many parcel homes added over the last couple of years. I've been working on this, that we've been able to nick off onesie twosies on. Okay. But there's a couple bigger builds on that. One is 61st Street, both north of 138th and south of 140th. It's a dead hole there, and along 138th. That's a big dead hole. We have our friends out at the state park on Sherwood Dunes, that's gonna be the hardest one to crack. There's another area. Gosh, is it around 61st, 62nd, 141st? Yeah, but there's like 3 actual pockets that we need to get built.
I was at a meeting on Monday, and Jim Story was there, and he said that the county has been in touch with the state on the Robin grant that he tells us about. And it's moved more toward the governor's office now for final recommendations and things like that. And he's been told that Allegan is in pretty good position for some of that money.
The county pickup provider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One,
1, 2, 3 now.
Yeah, 1, 2,
Yeah,
3. now.
and I think we had this conversation, but I'm getting old, so I can't remember it. But can that provider come in and fill?
Well,
gaps?
with open arms, but he won't do it. I
Okay.
won't say he won't do it. He actually could pick up a little bit. The 61st Street stuff. He's gonna be close enough, that's a maybe. Because he'll be on the other side of 60th and Fillmore building. So to come over a half mile into the township,
What Comcast had. Right,
yeah, that's no exclusive. Comcast is here, but they don't service everybody.
well, I know, because Michelle and I went to that meeting.
But they're not exclusive, because like in my
Right.
subdivision, we have both charter
You
and.
got lucky. We're one of the lucky few that you get a choice. Yeah. But getting Comcast to finish filling their holes is the thing I've been working on for years. And there is the possibility of the option of getting 1, 2, 3 net to build that 61st Street area. If and when the Robin grant money comes available. So it'll be a few years down the road, it could happen. But that could happen. Now, over here at Sherwood Dunes, there's just no way They're gonna do that. They're not gonna go 3 miles across the township to service 6 homes. It ain't gonna happen.
That would be a tough build too, because it's up in the dunes.
Yeah, but that's underground all through in there, so. But, yeah,
Comcast wouldn't let them splice into their
not a chance in hell. Mm-mm. Yeah,
fiber.
keep your hands off my plant, yeah.
Not like the Semco gas pipes.
Well. Michelle, we're trying to get you cable. Someday.
Before it's obsolete.
But even in our subdivision, the new house on the end of Blue Jay. I'm not sure where they ended up. I talked to one of the owners yesterday, and Comcast wanted $12,000 just to run it through the easement. Maybe 150 feet.
Comcast says, of course, they can't just pick up where they left off. They gotta go back to the splice joint. Where that may be and run from there. Yeah, it's again. Who am I to say bullshit?
Problem dates back to 1994.
Mhm.
Feds in the Telecom Act did not require the provider
Universal service,
to serve every person.
Right. Like they did back in the Electric Act of 1934, I want to say. The court would be a must serve. We don't want to get in the way of private enterprise, guys.
Anything else from us before we go to citizen comment?
Yeah, we're discussing still, right? Yeah, I want to know what's going on as far as the ARPA funds and the CEB and all that, because we kind of pushed that over a cliff. And I haven't really heard anything in that regard, because we have people, 501(c)(3)s that are out there waiting for money. Where are we on that?
Well, let's start with the first piece. All of our ARPA funds are either obligated or encumbered. So from the federal debt act, we don't have to worry about anything getting clawed back. So that's first thing, take that off the table. And then as far as CEB, Gary, you got an update on that.
Right, we had, when Park Township first proposed the idea, they wanted 4 of the municipalities that are part of CEP to agree. Right now, we have Park, Laketown, Holland City. And I just got a message from Laketown Township on, I want to say it was Monday, or it may have been Friday, that they probably will approve it in August or September at their meeting. So that will mean that will move forward.
We've already allocated 50,000 in our budget for that.
Right.
So
And
what,
Park-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And Park has, and yeah, Park, Laketown and Holland City, they've already put in their budget. So right now we're just waiting on Holland Township. I've got to contact Zealand City yet, but we'll see where that goes, but we already have 4 of the municipalities, so that will move forward.
That
that's-
way, the CEB board will have an additional $200,000, 4 times 50, to distribute to nonprofits. And that application form for the CEB board is a 1-page grant application. It's not hard. It's designed to be simple. If you go to themac.org, THE-MACC.org,
Yeah. I think
and
I
go
see
to
it.
the CEB page, it's right there. So they can be looking at that now and getting that ready, and whatever supplemental information they want to toss, but it's an easy application. And we don't
maybe-
will have a cheerleader here on the CEB board.
Quarterly?
Can you?
Quarterly, right, we'll
And-
meet
and
July.
So they give out grants year round.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait for this money to get in. And I don't know where you've been. When I was on that board, we weren't flooded with applications.
We're right now, think. I didn't bring that paperwork with me, but I think we still have about 45,000 yet. Right now.
Unallocated, yeah.
Can you send me the email address for the?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
For the website.
Yep.
Hey, Jim, this is my agenda for Monday. It's right on the bottom. You can have it.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Guess I'm the only one. I got a couple more, actually.
Okay.
One of the things is, one of the person in the Parks Commission asked me why they do not have email addresses. Is there a reason why they don't have an email address?
There's not a specific reason. It just never developed that way. Al, you want to run down what we talked about, and
Well,
what
actually, I
you're
think she
working
sent
on,
all you guys an email on that.
on the board question email,
Okay,
because that kind of covers parks too a little bit.
well, yeah, sort of. Can I just touch on this one?
Yep.
Quick?
Yeah.
She sent out that email to all of you and said the Parks Commission requested. The Parks Commission actually has not requested it. I've talked to the chair of Parks Commission about it, and he'll be talking back to them about it.
Oh, they haven't requested it. Okay.
No,
All
Not
right.
really, hasn't requested.
I was to
Yeah,
understand.
and
They had
frankly,
requested.
the chair doesn't see the real need. He thinks we're doing a very good fun way of communicating right now. What Linda's talking about is that we've been working, and hopefully it might be ready this week. Though I'm not gonna say that, so I say the end of the month. On the township board, on the new web page, we're gonna have a new thing called, Asks the Board. So questions come up from residents at any time. They can email the board. They will get a response from this. Questions come up at citizen comments about things. We can take those questions, put them up in there, put up the response. So there'll be a format for answering those questions. So as the questions will come into us, we'll find the answer for that and post it back to them. And then the question and answers will be posted on the website. So it'll be a FAQ for the TB, for the township board. And that will grow and be up there. So eventually, I don't know. And we have Jim Hayden, if you could correct me if I'm wrong. We've got some kind of a search ability on these things. What was it called? Super search, right? So yeah, you can search for something like you can say road work. You're not going to be shot off the Laketown site searching through Google. You want to go search Google, you can go do that yourself. This is going to search just within our township website. So that question's already been asked somewhere. They're gonna be able to find the answer. That's gonna take time to build over the years, and we're getting to have the system up and running this month. But over the years, as questions come and go, and it's gonna be cumulative.
And from that perspective, just on a maintenance issue, as more and more stuff gets posted over years, we need a plan or some automated something or other, so that stuff of a certain age gets archived. So that if somebody asks something about how do I, is there a burn moratorium in place? That they don't accidentally pull up through that super search outdated information, and that tells them the wrong thing. So if, as you're working on that, we can figure out how to auto archive anything over 12 months or anything, how,
That's gonna be touchy.
because otherwise there is a maintenance issue
Because some
for,
things we like, we've got 5 years of minutes up there right now.
but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Try-
understand.
Trying to figure
But
out.
no,
how to
as far
maintain
as keeping it fresh, not having old stuff sitting there that, okay, we got a burn ban in place now, no burning at all, and it's middle of January, we're getting 12 inches of snow.
that. Yeah, that, my day job, we're just in the process of culling. Because all of a sudden, there was just way too much. And it was it was, it was just
We got a
completely
guy-
ineffective.
We got
You
a
couldn't
guy, on-
find
we
really
got a
good-
guy on staff now that can keeps an eye on the website for us. That's,
That's huge.
well, it's all a matter of staffing.
I appreciate the work that you guys have gone into to get that question and answer chunk put together.
BB and Jim has done a good job on that.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks. What else you got, JD?
Oh, I had some notes here, but I think, Heiser House.
Mhm.
I know this has been going around the Heiser House. Heiser House in regard to the board. And spending money on the Heiser House. I know last week Al, or not last week, last meeting Al said they had a certain amount of money allocated for the Heiser House. Which I think he said was around 14, or not the Heiser House, but for building, for grounds, which is 14,000. I believe that's what you said.
No, I said there's money left, there's money available in the building and grounds budget. It can be used for the Heiser House. I predicted, I thought I'd said closer to 10,000 for total expenses on things. But there's money actually in there in capital outlay in the building and grounds, which I can shift a little bit over to help cover maintenance on township buildings and grounds. That's what the plan is. Money's in the budget already. Not asking for additional expense. And do a little shift.
Exactly how much is in the budget, you said?
Well, look at the budget. A capital outlay right now has $80,000, I believe, in it. We're not spending it. So I'm gonna shift a little bit of that over to maintenance.
Okay, my thing is this, why isn't the building authority coming to the board to ask for this money to continue with the Heiser House when there is no, we have no function for the Heiser House right now?
The township manager has authority to shift money within the budget. That's there and available.
That's not what I'm
The-
saying, though. I'm saying that the board. Why is there no function for it? I mean, why are we putting money into something that we have no function? There's no function
The
laid
building
out.
authority has not determined a function yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why don't we determine the function before we put any money into it?
Why don't we put some money into it before we determine the function?
Okay, hey,
I
hey,
mean-
hey.
Well, I mean,
Let me ask the question, when does the building authority think they're gonna get to a conclusion on?
I have
potential
not
uses?
met with the building authority since our last meeting. I've not discussed it with them since the last meeting.
But the shift over to building authority had a 6-month window on, it, right?
Yes, October or something, I believe. Is our deadline to come up with a plan.
But we're doing this thing bass backwards because you come up with a plan for something and then you go forward. You don't, spend time, messing around with something and then come up with a plan for it after you've done, you put money towards it. That's just not how things work.
We're doing things to it in this that should have been done 10 years ago.
Oh,
It wasn't done because of inaction. That needed to be done. We're doing basic maintenance.
Well, there's no security or anything on the building. I mean. what-
Right, I know, that's one of the things I was planning on
But
doing.
that's, see, that's what I'm getting at. We're putting money and all security and all this stuff towards the Heiser House.
Mhm.
We don't have a function for it. We have no function for it. Nobody knows what it's gonna be used for.
All right.
It may not be used for anything,
Well, tried to get a committee to come up with some ideas. They didn't, they met. for
They
an
did come
hour.
up with an
No,
idea,
they could, no, they did not come up with any ideas, Jim. They met
Al.
For an hour and 10 minutes,
an idea.
and they didn't come up with a meeting.
Their idea was to destroy
Mhm.
the building. That's an idea.
That was not their function they were supposed to do.
The stuff that's being talked about right now is paint and cutting back some of the overgrown landscaping. correct?
Paint, clean up, securing.
So we're not talking about any renovation or rebuild on the inside or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I'd like to make a motion that we just don't go forward on the Heiser House at all until we, building authority comes forward and gives us an idea. We just do not spend any money on the Heiser House.
Well,
Don't make motions at workshops.
Well, I'll make it next time.
Be able to use Brett. And or Dave carrying people to do some of that stuff just to save money.
Well, Dave Carring's not till the end of September.
I think the last time it was painted, it was the Debts crew out of Elegant, wasn't it?
Working on these things. It's, we being me in my head are working on these details. It's hard to work on these details with the building authority when two of you make a quorum. So I've got to come up with things, then call for a meeting. And as far as the building authority, don't forget that you have two members of your township board that are on the building authority. Clerk, treasurer are ex officio members of the building authority. Yes, they know what's going on.
That is true.
Anything else? Okay, we got citizen comment. Anybody in the room tonight that wants to talk to us about anything? Good evening.
Hi, Mary Bertolino. I am a resident. About the Heiser House, I'm listening to everything, and I really think that what you need to do is, I mean, okay, you can make the outside all nice and pretty, but what if the inside can't be done with a reasonable amount of money? You know, if you're going to use it for something, what if you go in there and you now have to gut the whole thing? I think you really need to get one of the inspectors that inspect houses before they get sold, bring them in and take a look at the house and pull out all of the problems that are possible, because they're the ones who say, yeah, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Then you might say, this house isn't worth doing. Or then maybe say, oh, this house is in great shape and all we need is cosmetic things. But to do it before you, or make the improvements on the outside before you find out if it's even worth saving, I think it's just a waste of money. So that's all I have to say.
Come on up.
Couple things. Craig Movie resident. I was wondering when you guys were going through the finances, why there wasn't handouts for the residents. The handouts, there was nothing out there for us to review. So that's one thing. I don't know why there wasn't handouts today.
I don't think anybody else has ever asked.
Yeah, I don't think we've
Okay.
ever done that.
No, there's been handouts at meetings with agendas and stuff.
No, but
There was a budget handout.
yeah, with the budget, but
Okay.
the monthly financials, I don't think.
Well,
we've
I think
ever.
we'd like to see that, what's being spent. We may have questions at the meeting, the following official meeting and not the workshop. The second thing is I was wondering if there is a value that is set that something has to go out for bid. Are you here? We spent $8,000 in sprinkling and we went to Evergreen. I know other people can do what Evergreen does, and I'm wondering why it didn't go out to bid. I understand the water source and the piping. I'm wondering if there's a value that it needs to go out to bid. Is there one?
You know what? That's a perfect question for our FAQ section on the
Yeah.
website. That's
Okay.
exactly what it's designed for.
So okay, so at the next board meeting, can there be a discussion on that agenda? Because I think that's wrong, that it went, you spent $8,000 and it didn't go out to bid. There are a lot of companies around here that can do sprinkling like Evergreen can. The other thing is I still have a question on the donations, the 501Cs. And I keep bringing it up. I've never got an answer on it yet. I'm wondering if the township attorney has looked at that they all can make decisions on where funds go from the taxpayer 501Cs. Has the attorney looked at that?
We'll add it to the
But
responses.
Linda, I'm going to say this again. I have brought it up 3 times. I brought it up to Jim a few times and nobody seems to care about getting an answer. So can we get the township attorney to see if it's legal? That's all I'm asking. And this is the 3rd time. And I'm not sure why it's not being answered.
I'm gonna get all those answers and we'll get them posted.
We're just not getting answers. Been meeting upon meeting where there's nothing being coming back to the residents when they bring up comments. So I'm glad there's some web system being put together to get answers. I wonder how effective it will be. I hope it's good, but there should be some interim thing being done to get answers to the residents. Thank you.
Anybody on Zoom, Jim? Anything else from the board tonight? All right, Mr. Dewey,
Adjourn.
do we have support? We have support? We have twice support? Do we have third support down there? All in favor, say aye. Oh, wait a minute.
When I retire, who's going to be the adjourner?
Long meetings.
See y'all next week.
See ya.